The debate over gun control is a divisive one, with passionate arguments on both sides. After every mass shooting, there are calls for stricter laws and regulations on guns. But is this knee-jerk reaction based on emotion rather than evidence? According to research, guns prevent an estimated 2.5 million crimes every year, or 6,849 every day. These crimes are prevented not because the gun is fired, but because the mere presence of a firearm can deter would-be criminals. In fact, 60% of convicted felons admitted that they avoided committing crimes when they knew the victim was armed, and 40% avoided crimes when they suspected the victim might be armed. These statistics suggest that guns can be an effective tool for self-defense, and that stricter gun laws could potentially result in more innocent victims of crime. In fact, research from the Center for Disease Control estimates that as many as 3 million crimes could be prevented by guns each year, or 8,200 every day. Despite these statistics, the media often focus on the negative aspects of gun ownership, portraying guns as a cause of violence rather than a deterrent to it. However, the reality is that fewer than 1% of firearms are used in the commission of a crime. Instead, guns are more commonly used for self-defense or protection of property. There are also many cases where guns have been used to prevent tragedy. For example, in a recent incident in Noonan, Georgia, a man threatened to shoot up a bar after being kicked out. He then grabbed a .40 caliber handgun from a friend's car and began firing into the air. However, a man named Ben McCoy, who happened to have his rifle with him, distracted the gunman and prevented what could have been a bloodbath. Of course, it is tragic that Mr. McCoy was shot in the process, but his presence with a firearm likely prevented many more casualties. This is just one example of how guns can be used to prevent tragedy, and there are countless others. Despite these examples, there are still those who believe that stricter gun laws are necessary to prevent violence. However, it is important to remember that laws cannot always prevent crime. Criminals will always find a way to obtain weapons, regardless of the laws in place. In addition, many gun owners are responsible and law-abiding citizens who use their firearms for self-defense and protection of property. By implementing stricter gun laws, these individuals may be unfairly punished for the actions of a few bad actors. In conclusion, while the debate over gun control will likely continue for years to come, it is important to remember that guns can be an effective tool for self-defense and protection. Rather than focusing solely on the negative aspects of gun ownership, we should also consider the many positive ways in which guns have been used to prevent tragedy and save lives. Subscribe Libertarian Facts.